I've been on that MSNBC, mate. It was propagandist nutcrackery.
Russell Brand absolutely shreds the propaganda network called MSNBC to a journalist from MSNBC while on Bill Maher. Let's take a look. Hello, my dear freedom-loving friend. Welcome back to the JP Reacts channel, where we like to do several things. Call out the lies, hypocrisy, and corruption of tyrants. Propaganda falls in that category. And also highlight the amazing work of other freedom fighters. Russell Brand falls into that category. So this clip is going around far and wide, and I want to take a moment so we could watch it together, share a few thoughts, and of course hear your thoughts about it in the comments below. So this is Russell Brand. He's on Bill Maher and on a little bit of a panel, and this guy, John Heilemann, who I've never heard him before, but looked him up. He's a journalist from MSNBC. So the context for this is this John guy is criticizing Fox News for being a propaganda network. Oh, I'll be completely blind to the propagandist nature of MSNBC. And Russell Brand, he seems to be fueled by the truth industrial complex. He's very compromised, where he is just relentlessly devoted to truth. Unfortunately, there doesn't seem to be a way to get him to sell out. So unfortunately, this guy just represents truth no matter what, and he doesn't let this dude have a slide. He calls him out, calls NBC out right there, and you'll see this John dude from MSNBC. He can't do anything other than, well, he starts swearing at Russell Brand, and he tries to interrupt Russell Brand, and he just keeps shaking his head. The best thing for propaganda is for it to be in the presence of truth, because anyone with their brain remotely switched on can see the difference. They can see which one shines brighter. They can see which one has, well, more truth. But the propaganda next to truth. Propaganda can only survive when it's in an environment that starves the oxygen of truth. Unfortunately for MSNBC, there's this truth machine, Russell Brand, sitting right next to the propaganda. Let's see what happens.
John, I've not known you long, but I love you already. But I have to say that it's disingenuous to claim that the biases that are exhibited on Fox News are any different from the biases exhibited on MSNBC. It's difficult to suggest that these corporations operate as anything other than mouthpieces for their affiliate owners in BlackRock and Vanguard. And
I think it's just the most closed-minded kind of thing to do, to be like, dude, that's propaganda over there. That's the propaganda, without being an equal propaganda observer. So I think this guy's first mistake is pointing the finger at propaganda while being completely blind to the fact that he is standing in a pile of propaganda poo excreted by a donkey.
Unless we start to embrace, and also, mate, like, just spiritually, if I may use that word in your great country, we have to take responsibility for our own perspective. I've been on that MSNBC, mate. It was propagandist nutcrackery on there.
And of course, like, you know, one of the kind of tactics when someone's making like a beautiful point based in truth, which threatens your unbeautiful point based in non-truth, you start interrupting. And you see this guy, he starts really kind of like doing this obnoxious, trying to interrupt Russell all throughout it. But I love the fact that Russell is just going forward. He's not playing the game of like, I'm talking, you're trying to interrupt me, so let you interrupt me. He's just standing in his sovereignty, letting his, I think he channels something from divine consciousness.
Good morning, Joe. It was absurd the way they carried on.
Good morning, Joe.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know what it was. It wasn't morning. There was no one called Joe there. No one could concentrate. They didn't understand the basic tenets of journalism. No one was willing to stick up for genuine...
By the way, look at the body language of this John fella. He's just looking away. You know, he's festering. You can tell how uncomfortable this dude is.
American heroes like Edward Snowden. No one was willing to talk about Julian Assange and what he's suffered trying to bring real journalism to the American people. And I think to sit within the castle of MSNBC throwing rocks at Fox News is ludicrous.
My friend,
make MSNBC better. Make MSNBC great again.
My friend, I would love...
Finally, when you tried to interrupt the crap out of him. Now it's your turn, buddy.
I would... The moment...
I want to the territory you can win on, John.
Russell, darling.
I feel like that was a condescending thing for him to say, Russell darling. Anyway, I'm judgmental. I feel like I'm needing to defend Russell even though he doesn't need any defense, but yeah, it's condescending.
The moment that you give me a specific example, an actual example.
Okay, I'll give you one.
Wait, wait.
Like, he's like, dude, give me a specific example of propaganda on MSNBC. And Russell's like, yeah, I got one. He's like, well, but don't give me that example that I asked for. I don't want to hear it. Now is not the time or place. But if you think of one, don't give it to me.
Just we need a specific example.
Let me tell you what the specific I'd like to hear of. I'd like to hear a specific example, a provable specific example of an MSNBC correspondent or anchor being on television saying something they knew was false and we're saying behind the scenes to people, this is
an example of like every news show. Is that clear enough?
We're about to go out and we know that the election wasn't stolen.
You've illustrated.
Do we?
Example, but I will go out on television and say the opposite. I will lie.
When's my answer?
Just give me the specific example.
I understand the basic point.
Give me a specific example.
All right.
I'm with you. I think it's a false equivalency, Russell.
No, it's not. That's your own biases.
It's not about bias. It's a false equivalency because you don't actually know anything about any of these organizations you're talking about. Even on MSNBC once, big fucking deal.
Whoa, John's getting a little uncomfortable. Let me just swear at you. Let me minimize your experience. Let me minimize your brain power. You're thinking for yourself. Well, that's not cool. Big deal.
Darling, it was more than enough.
You can't come up with such a you have a single actual fact.
Do you want an example?
Yes.
The ludicrous, outrageous criticisms of Joe Rogan around ivermectin.
It's a good example.
Deliberately referring to it as a horse medicine when they know it's an effective.
And this guy, he keeps saying non-responsive. I don't know what he actually is intending to mean. Obviously, it's intending to try to discount Russell's answer without having an intellectual superior contrary point to Russell's answer, which obviously he doesn't have. I think Russell's just speaking pure truth. Somehow it annoys me more than it should when he just keeps saying non-responsive.
Medicine.
Yeah, that's not a bad
Rachel
example.
Maddow turning up on the TV saying if you take this vaccine, you're not going to get it when it hadn't been clinically trialed for transmission.
Non-responsive.
You have to listen.
John, you're annoying me. Quit saying non-responsive.
Wait. Do you think you can improve America by
think
determinedly and avowedly condemning Fox News without acknowledging that you're participating in the same game? Did you not just listen to Bernie Sanders, someone who plainly, legitimately believes in this country and believes it's possible to change, but is bound by corruption, is bound by the lobbying system? Surely it's clear to you, Bill, as one of the great pundits and experts and comic voices, that systemic change is required. Money has to be taken out of politics. We need new political systems that genuinely represent ordinary Americans so that we can overcome cultural differences. And bickering about which propagandist network is the worst is not going to save a single American life, not improve the life of a single American child, not going to improve America's standing in the world, and the world needs a strong America. I'll tell you that. So you have an obligation, a duty, not to condemn these people.
And there you have it. From a standpoint of like who won the debate, the jury is just completely unanimous. Russell Brand torched this fella. And I think it's unfortunate for the fella. He got into a debate trying to prop up a propagandist network, which means you're going to lie about liars. Russell Brand, again, he is just compromised by the truth industrial complex. So unfortunately, this guy, John, he made himself look like an idiot, which, to be fair, we all look like idiots if we're trying to convey a lie about liars. It's like liars squared. There's just no way out of that other than to look like a complete fool when you're trying to stand for something completely foolish. Props up to Russell Brand. I think he is one of the most potent voices on the planet right now. I think people like him, Joe Rogan and his guests, and some others, they're just the most potent voices on the planet. I think Russell Brand has several things working for him. One is he's aligned with truth. Two is he doesn't fear what can be taken away. Here he is on Bill Maher, and Bill Maher, he seems like he's really been doing pretty well breaking free of his propaganda and calling out even his own party, which I love. So he's on this sort of network television, and he's not in there to do the talking points, toe the line, avoid. He's just there like, hey, you invited me on. I'm going to do truth. We're doing truth right now. So Russell Brand is not afraid of what can be taken away from him. Why? Because he doesn't put any of his worth in the hands of the propaganda controllers. And then points 3 and 4 of what I think Russell Brand really has working for him is he's funny, which means he grabs people's attention. People want to pay attention to him. And 4, aside from being funny, he is just a linguistic, poetic wizard. The way he strings thoughts together through this art of his spoken word, it is just masterful. He conveys messages of truth probably better than anybody else on the planet that I have seen. It's just beautiful poetry in motion when Russell Brand talks. And I personally, through the grace of God, how he has the past year or two just become aligned with the mission of freedom. I feel like that's a great blessing to you and I and any other freedom-loving person on the planet. So hats off to you, Mr. Russell Brand, and my condolences to John Heilemann for allowing him to look foolish. I'm sure he's not a fool, but he's obviously doing foolish things. I think there's things he could stand for that are much better if he aligned his human intelligence and his heart with what's most important. That would be great, but obviously he's kind of a sellout. He's an MSNBC journalist. They're towing the line of the MSNBC narrative. Not a very good look for him, but a tremendous look for Russell Brand. My dear freedom-loving friend, thank you for taking a look at this video with me. And before you go, I want to give a big shout out to a sponsor of this video that supported me and my family for well over a couple years. And they're a great support to any freedom lover who's looking to give themselves the gift of good health through clean, nutrient-dense whole foods. Paleo on the Go. This video is brought to you by Paleo on the Go. I don't know about you, but I'm someone who likes to invest in feeling my best. That's why I've been using the Paleo on the Go meal delivery service for well over 2 years now, before they were even a sponsor. We know that you are what you eat, which means the food that you put into your body largely dictates how you feel, what your health is, how you look, and how your mood is. And one thing we know for sure is when you look at things like the latest scientific food pyramid recommendations, you're not gonna be healthy on accident. That's why if you wanna be healthy, fit, and feel awesome, you have to take matters into your own hands, and Paleo on the Go makes it very easy with their clean, nutrient-dense whole food meals. The last thing we need to be uncertain about is the food that we put into our bodies and our families' bodies. And if you're at all like me, I'm addicted to eating healthy, clean, nutrient-dense whole foods, but the problem is I don't have a lot of time to prepare those kind of foods all the time. But Paleo on the Go solves that problem with their already prepared cooked meals that you just have to reheat and enjoy the deliciousness of. Your body, health, and taste buds will benefit from their delicious meals crafted in-house. Meals like elk burger over portobello mushrooms with pickled red onions and root vegetables, chicken pot pie, and steak chimichurri. Here's how Paleo on the Go works. You simply pick your meals from their wide selection, they ship them to you, and then you heat them and eat them and enjoy. If you want to invest in feeling your best today, then go to paleoonthego.com, and while you're there, use the discount code JP20 for $20 off your first 3 shipments when you subscribe.